Hey guys, it's Amber from Notable Ink. Welcome back. Today I am sharing brand new Altenew standalone dies. There are some awesome sets in this new release that I'm going to share, as well as a 2-in-1 glue pen that's new as well. This video is part of an Altenew blog hop, so follow my blog link down below and enter to win. So I totally had to zoom out in order to accommodate this set. This is the Jumbo Gardens Picks layering die set, and it's 12 inches tall. It's probably 8 to 10 inches. Yeah, it's probably 8 inches wide. It's ginormous, you guys. This is like all of the layering dies you could possibly need in one set here. Now what's unique about it and what I love is that you get 3 to 4 flowers in each one of these dies. So it's a lot easier to just run it through your die cutting machine. There's less dies to deal with. You don't have an individual die for each individual layer, and I really like that. I'm going to be watercoloring my pieces, so I have the 9x12 watercolor pad set. I tore a piece out already and went ahead and cut it in half because that way it can fit through my die cut machine easily if it's just cut in half. So each piece is 6 by 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and take the dies off the sheet here. What I want to point out is that the most solid layer is the darkest color. Now that's unusual if you compare it to layer stamping, and layer stamping usually the most solid layer is your lightest color. It's a little bit different here. I'm going to go ahead and use the cues from the packaging to color up these die cuts. So I've run these through my die cut machine, and I have the Altenew Artist Watercolor set here. You know that's one of my favorite sets from Altenew. And I will let you know which colors I use, but I'm going to mix some different colors here. Starting off with Red Cosmos, and I have a 3/4 inch angled flat brush from Princeton. This is one of the snap brushes, and I'm using the color Red Cosmos. So over to the left-hand side, I have the packaging to refer to, and I'm just referring to, okay, this is the most solid layer, so I'm going to be using my darkest, most saturated color on this layer. As I move on to the second layers, I've watered that mixture down a little bit, and I'm also going to add some Pocket Full of Sunshine to this. So one of the looks that I like with 3D layering dies for florals is lots of color. I like to have variation in the layers rather than solid layers. There I have just a little bit of seashores on my Pocket Full of Sunshine, and you can see it turned that bloom or that die cut up there yellow. So I'm just cleaning up my pans, and I'll just cover that up with a little bit of pink here. So that's going to add more variation, and that was Red Cosmos that I added. So I've watered that Red Cosmos down again for my most top layer, which is the lightest color. Thinking about what I want to do for these flower centers, I decided to go with Fiery Sunset, which is a super vibrant orange. And for the bottom piece of those, I decided to go with the Pocket Full of Sunshine, a little bit of the Fiery Sunset, and I did the smallest pieces yellow, but I'll change that. For the darkest part of the leaves, I'm going to use Tropical Forest. Now for the leaves they did opposite. The leaves, they're suggesting the lightest color for the most solid pieces and darkest color for your detail pieces. So I'm doing the lightest one in Rainforest, and I just have that watered down a bit. And I'll go ahead and test these. So I'm going to take out one of the blooms, all of the layers for one of the blooms, and put them together just to test it, because oftentimes what I find is I need a little bit more contrast between the layers. So this is looking okay. It's looking pretty good. I'm liking how it's looking, but I feel like I definitely am going to need some more contrast. That was right on the edge of my piece there, so it didn't get die cut all the way through since it was all the way on the edge of my platform. And so here's where I'm thinking, yeah, I could use some more contrast between the third and the fourth layer. So I'm going to pop that back in. I'll get some higher concentration of the Red Cosmos and add that. And I'll double check this. I'll add that lightest layer back, and I really like the look of that. So I'll go ahead and add that contrast to the rest of those pieces. I'll go ahead and test the leaves in the same way, and I do find that I want darker green for these detail pieces. So that looks okay, but I think it could look better with higher contrast. So now I'm going to add Green Meadows. So originally it was Tropical Forest. I'll add a little bit of Green Meadows just to darken up that layer, and then I'll retest that and see how that looks. So much better. All right, so I'll add a little bit more. Assembling of these blooms is super easy, and I'm excited to introduce the 2-in-1 precision glue pin. It's both permanent and repositionable depending on whether you use it while it's wet or let it dry. And unfortunately, I didn't have it when I made this video, but I will definitely be using it in future videos. If you are someone who subscribes to the Craft a Flower monthly kit, this is definitely something I'd recommend for you. Of course, one of my cards isn't complete without some jet black ink spray splatter, so I've just taken out the nozzle, knocked off the excess ink, and I'll just splatter that on here. You can see that I have somewhat of an arrangement of my flowers over to the left, and I'm going to pop some of them up on foam squares. This sentiment that you see here is from the Essential Sentiments Strip die set. This is one of my new faves, you guys. It includes 8 of the most used sentiments you would need, and I love the style of it, how the letters are punched out of the sentiment strip. You could do this in loads of different colors of cardstock and just really create some cool cards. I could go on rearranging this forever, but I won't have you watch that. I went ahead and popped some up and adhered others directly to the card. Here's the finished card here. Really covered up the majority of the splatter, but you still have enough that it adds just a little bit of black here and there. I think the color variation with the watercolor layers is just so beautiful, and I did end up using all of the die cuts on this one panel. Believe it or not, they all fit. For the next card, I kept things really super simple. I have 2 new alphabet die sets here. The Linear Pathway Alpha Solid die set along with the Linear Pathway Alpha Outline die set. Now, of course, you can use these separately or together. I decided to put mine together with some gradient cardstock. I thought that would be a cool look. And then I thought I'd use the Classy Stripes stencil to create a message board background. Now, I used a really light gray. I used limestone. In retrospect, I wish I had done this on black cardstock and used white pigment ink. Here I have the ink blending tools. This is the small tool set, so there's 4 ink blending brushes in each of these sets. They're so awesome, and I'll show them to you compared to the larger tool so that you've got an idea of the size difference. So the smaller ones don't come with the case, but I don't find that you need it. You can just set them on their ends, and there you can see the size difference. It's a little bit smaller than the handle of the large brush. So as I was saying, I use a really light color for this. I use limestone because I was thinking I kind of wanted to do like the white message board, so I wanted to keep it really light, but you can't really see the stripes in the photos. So I think that this would look really good if you did it on maybe gray cardstock or used a darker gray for the ink blending, or even did it on the black cardstock with white pigment ink blended with white pigment ink. The other thing that's really nice about kind of using a message board style for this type of card is that you automatically have lines to line up your letters with, which simplifies the whole process. So I used Cherry Blossom, Seashore, and shades of purple gradient cardstock and cut out the words dream, create, and be, and just glued those directly to the card panel. So you can barely see those lines here. They're more noticeable in person. For the next card, I'm using the Rose Bouquet stencil along with, this is Baby Pink Crisp Dye ink. I'll also use maple yellow, limeade, and fuchsia on this card. I really wanted to use these little blending brushes a little bit more and see if I could effectively blend multiple colors with the smaller brushes. It's obviously a lot harder to do with the large brushes. I have tried it before, so I wanted to see how it went with the smaller ones. Here's maple yellow here. So I'm just adding a mix of different colors here and there. For the leaves, I'm going to add in limeade. And the fuchsia, the baby pink, and the limeade, those are from the Spring Bouquet family. And here I have lime. So I'm just going to darken it up a little bit around the edges here. And I did color that bud there green, but I'm not going to worry about it. Nobody's really going to notice that little bud over on the left. And then to finish this off, I'll add a little bit of Forest Glades too. That wasn't quite deep enough, so I'll add Forest Glades. And then to the centers of the roses, I'm going to add some fuchsia because it just wasn't quite dark enough for me. And in fact, I'll go one darker and add magenta. And the fuchsia and the magenta are also from that Spring Bouquet set. So This is super pretty. I like it. And then I pulled out my die cuts. The whole point of this was to use these die cuts because this is one of the new dies. Happy Holidays didn't make a lot of sense with the color scheme that I chose, so I pulled out the birthday sentiment from the original Mega Greetings stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in a couple of those pinks to make sure I get it dark enough. And then I'll add the happy die cut to that to make a really cheerful birthday card. And of course we need black in more than one place, so that calls for some jet black ink spray splatter again. And here's the finished card. You'll have to let me know what your favorite new products are. For me, it's got to be the Jumbo Garden Picks layering die set, and then also those sentiment strips, the Essential Sentiment Strips die set. So awesome. Let me know what yours are down below. Join us on the blog hop for more inspiration, and leave a comment on my blog to enter the giveaway. Let me know you liked this video by liking, subscribing, and leaving me a comment down below. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you real soon with more inspiration.